if I had to again take a position on it, I'm gonna take the brand name, which is Bitcoin. I'm going to assume that it's the wrong price for the possibilities that it has. And I'm going to assume that the path forward from here is north.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Thinking Crypto channel. I hope you're doing well. I've got big news to share with you guys. Bitcoin is on track to $100,000, and I'm going to show you the macro level charts as well as the respective factors that are going to drive it to $100,000, and that is the IMF telling countries to print as much money as you can. And we've got more institutional investors jumping into the market. We even have the former Canadian Prime Minister saying Bitcoin can become a world reserve currency. And finally, we're going to talk about Gary Gensler being confirmed as the SEC chairman. Before we break it down, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment below, and hit the subscribe button if you're new here. It helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Guys, as we talked about yesterday, nothing spectacular happening with Bitcoin. It is moving sideways, it is building support levels, and while that's happening, alt season is taking place. So the alts have green across the board. Yesterday we talked about Polkadot just going to the moon right now. It took the number 4 spot from XRP. It is up 124% from a 7-day perspective. Now, I don't have any Polkadot in my portfolio, unfortunately, but I mentioned that, if it does dip, I will accumulate some. XRP is at number 5, but Chainlink, which I do have in my portfolio, is doing well right now. It touched near $24, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday. So looking very good, and certainly some money being made here. We'll see how high we go with alt season, but Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats. So we usually have Bitcoin pump. It usually gets to a overbought scenario. Then the money goes to the alts. That's how the cycles have worked historically. And as things progress further and the market matures, you might see less and less of that. That's why we as early adopters have the potential to make significant returns here. So like I said, Bitcoin just moving sideways, building support levels, and then we'll work our way up to probably 45,000, then to 50,000 by the end of January. Fingers crossed, that's not a certainty, but let's hope it plays out that way. Now, macro level, we are on track to $100,000. Now, Willy Woo, a Bitcoin trader, updated his respective price model for Bitcoin, and he said, $100,000 price targets are too low. Upward bending motion detected on top cap model, now on track for $200,000 minimum. Wow. Very bullish if you look at his chart here. Now, as always, I keep it real with you guys. Is this a certainty? No. Is it a high probability? I would say it's 50-50 for the $200,000 price point. For $100,000, which is according to the stock to flow model from Plan B, I would say it's a high probability for $100,000, like an 80%. I think $100,000 is not hard for Bitcoin when we're currently, when we have touched $40,000, right? And you think about the macroeconomic factors, which we're going to discuss later in this video, that will drive Bitcoin's value up. Now, the Winklevoss twins have doubled down in a recent interview about their case for a $500,000 Bitcoin price. Now, they are talking about it in the next decade. So they're not saying next year or 6 months. They're talking over long term. And that's how you got to look at it, right? You got to look at these macro level charts. That's why I point you guys to these charts, not the daily, not the hourly, not the weekly. If you're looking at that, it's a waste of your time unless you're day trading, right? So things are on track, and the institutional investors are very bullish on Bitcoin. Tom Lombardi, who's the managing director at 3iQ, I have interviewed him on my channel. 3iQ is the Grayscale of Canada. They essentially provide a Bitcoin fund that people can invest in versus an ETF, right? And they have listed both funds, their Bitcoin and Ethereum, on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Now, they shared a quote here from Roofer Investment, which talked about they're putting $1 billion in Bitcoin. Here's the quote. Think of Bitcoin's bad reputation as a risk premium. As we move through the process of normalization, regulation, and institutionalization, the compression of this premium can have a dramatic effect on the price. Yep, this is one of the factors of why Bitcoin is going to $100,000 and possibly $500,000 over the next decade, according to the Winklevoss twins. You are seeing record-breaking amount of money being put into Bitcoin, and it is being positioned as gold 2.0. And the other macroeconomic factor that we are seeing here is the money printing, the inflation. So the IMF is urging governments worldwide to spend as much as you can. Now, this is, of course, something that's been going on for a long time, quantitative easing. But because of the virus situation, they've had to spend more. So they've printed, I think the US has printed more money than it's ever had in the history in just in 2020. That's what's happening. The debasement of fiat currencies, the money sitting in your bank account will lose value. And that's what these big players see. They know the wealth they have accumulated will start to dilute if they don't put it in a store of value and something that can appreciate over time, and they're moving towards Bitcoin. Here's an example. Anthony Scaramucci, his fund, Skybridge Capital, just recently took a position in Bitcoin. He tweeted the following: "We at Skybridge Capital are also focused exclusively on Bitcoin and feel it will be the big winner," saying that most institutions we talk to have a similar view. So all of these guys who are at one point were skeptical of Bitcoin and talked crap about it are all coming in. All the Wall Street banks we just talked about, Goldman Sachs is looking to take a position. You're looking to launch cryptocurrency custody and eventually trading, right? But we know they've already taken a position. They're just now going to make it public. So big institutions are jumping in. They're doing their thing, guys. This is what's happening. And here's a big endorsement of Bitcoin. The Bitcoin haters will continue to spread FUD and talk about Tether and so forth, but they're ignoring the things that are happening around Bitcoin, like the institutional investors buying up as much as they can. So former Canadian Prime Minister lists Bitcoin as a possible future reserve currency. Guys, just think about this. That would be like the president of the United States. Let's say George W. Bush or Barack Obama or whoever, right? Came out and said, hey, Bitcoin is a possible future reserve currency. Isn't that crazy? That's how far we've come, guys, and there's still more to go. So Stephen Harper said the number of things that people use as reserves will expand, but the US dollar will still retain its dominant role. So he's not saying that Bitcoin is going to replace the US dollar as the world reserve currency, but it's going to become an alternative reserve currency, another option, right? So Stephen Harper, an economist and the former Prime Minister of Canada, said Bitcoin could potentially see use as a reserve currency, but it isn't going to supplant the US dollar's international role. In an interview with Cambridge House's Jay Martin on Sunday, Harper acknowledged that the dollar had been on a downtrend. It has been for like 50 years, right? But said there were few viable international alternatives, even when looking at the euro and the yuan. Yeah, fiat currencies eventually fail. They've all failed. So here's a quote: "Unless the US becomes a catastrophe, it's hard to see what the alternative is to the US dollar as the world's major reserve currency. Other than, gold, Bitcoin, a whole basket of things, right?" said Harper. "I think you'll see that the number of things that people use as reserves will expand, but the US dollar will still be okay, will still be the bulk of it." Harper stressed he is not an expert when it comes to digital currencies, but said it's hard to see how they operate as a store of value. Something pretty critical for a currency. The former conservative prime minister explained that every currency has three purposes: as a medium of exchange, as a unit of account, and as a store of value. He acknowledged a digital currency is certainly a medium of exchange, can be a unit of account, but it is difficult to see how Bitcoin can act as a store of value. Now, I disagree with him on that because Bitcoin's value, while volatile, has increased over time. Those are facts, right? So if you're looking at the short term, sure, you may say, well, it's not a great store of value. But if you're looking macro level, like a lot of these big players are, it is a great store of value. And because it has better principles than gold, it has gold's principles, of course, but it enhances because of the ability to move in and out of it and store it and transport it and all that, right? It is much better than gold. And once again, I'm not saying anything bad about gold. Gold is still a great store of value, but Bitcoin, due to its hard cap, is true scarcity. You can still keep mining gold, of course. So I disagree with him there. And also what these guys don't realize is that Bitcoin is only 10 years old. It's not been around for hundreds of years like gold or other assets, right? So sometimes they look at this too short term. They don't zoom out and look at it macro level, but he still sees it as a potential reserve currency, and people are putting their money into it. So this is a big endorsement, even though he has some reservations. He's still I think he's balanced in his thoughts here, right? He talks about it being certainly a reserve currency, but with some maybe flaws, or if you want to call it that. So very interesting promotion here or endorsement of Bitcoin, guys. Very bullish. Finally, I want to talk about Gary Gensler. We've heard the rumors that he would be named as the SEC chair. Well, he's been confirmed, guys. And this guy gets crypto. He's taught courses at MIT on Bitcoin and crypto. Many of you have seen the respective videos. And, I tweeted about it this morning. My hope is he comes in, he makes it much easier for the crypto market versus Jay Clayton, who was an idiot. And on his way out, sucker punch Ripple. And like I said, this is not just about XRP. They're going to go after the other cryptos if Gary Gensler doesn't do anything. And I'm hoping, guys, that he comes in, he makes it easy for the Ripple team. They resolve this issue. Maybe he throws the lawsuit out. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Most likely it won't get thrown out. But if he can come in and just help things to be more streamlined, make it more easier for the rest of the crypto market. And look, Ripple might be the guinea pig in that process, right? But like that's what Ripple is expecting. They're going to rename the Howey test to the Ripple test, right? We've heard Ripple's Stuart Alderati, general counsel, say this, and we'll see how things play out. I'm hoping for the best here, and hopefully things get worked out in Ripple's favor and XRP's favor, because I do believe in the mission of what Ripple is trying to accomplish with XRP. I just think the SEC doing this, the way they went about it was just horrible, and a lot of people lost money. Now, full transparency, I have not sold any of my XRP. I still hold my XRP position because I think regardless of the outcome, if XRP is a security or not, I think it will still things are still going to move forward, because remember, in all other G20 countries, XRP is not a security. It is just the United States that we're having this issue. And it's pretty clear the way they went about it, well, Jay Clayton did, that there was something else happening here. I don't know if Jay Clayton's connection to Goldman Sachs and these other players, he was paid off to do something like that. It's possible. Or, this is some shakeout to get the big players to come in and grab a position on XRP. Look, those are possibilities, right? I'm not saying it's definitive, but that's just my thought on it. So I'm hoping Gary Gensler, who's a guy who's crypto friendly, understands the technology, can come in and just make things easier for the rest of the market and possibly easier for Ripple and this XRP situation. And we can move forward, because this is a big elephant in the room. Like, what's going to happen next, right? We're waiting for the initial hearing in February, I believe it is, with Ripple and the SEC. And remember, Ripple has a lot of former SEC people behind them who are on board with them. We've had the former CFTC chair, Chris Giancarlo, come out and say XRP is not a security. We've had Congressman Tom Emmer come out and say XRP is not a security. So Ripple has a lot of ammo, a lot of firepower, a lot of muscle behind them politically, and just people who understand regulations. So I just my opinion, my thoughts, I think things will work out in their favor, and we'll see what Gary does. I'm hoping for the best here. So guys, what do you think about this news? Could Bitcoin hit $100,000 by the end of this year? Things are on track. Could it hit $200,000 according to Willy Woo? We'll have to wait and see. That might be into 2022, but certainly the numbers don't lie, and the factors that we're seeing of institutional demand and excessive money printing is going to drive more money into the crypto market for sure. So would love to hear what you guys think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Share this video, hit the thumbs up button, and I'll talk to you all later.